Alright, so recently the Sullivan family, well, I don't know if I can really say it was recently, it was maybe a couple of months ago, and I'm just now getting around to editing this video. We recently visited Jaemor Farms. Now, if you're not familiar with Jaemor Farms, they are a farm, obviously, in North Georgia. And what they do is, what we heard of them for was for their peaches, and they have this You Pick peach deal going on. Only when we went up there, they had something happen with their peach crop here recently where they lost like 80% of it or something. And don't quote me on the number there, but I know that it was a large amount of their peach crop had been lost. And so we weren't actually able to do the You Pick peach thing that we wanted to do. But Jaemor Farms knew that they weren't going to be able to do that, and so they actually planned for other activities to take place. A couple of the things that they had for kids was the milking demonstration. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she talked about how to milk a cow.
How to milk a cow. And did you get to ask her any questions?
No, she just demonstrated, then we got to go up and get stuff.
So did you enjoy the milking demonstration?
Yeah.
Was it fun?
Yeah.
Now, what did you imagine that's how you milk cows, or did you imagine it some other way? I
did imagine some other way, like you would go out there, sit on a still milk, then walk away, but you have to like strain it and stuff.
So it was a little bit different from because they gave the presentation from a commercial aspect, and of course they're not going to go out and sit on a stool and milk a cow by hand, right?
No, not like the farmers.
No, they've got too many cows to do, so they actually hook these machines up to the cows, and then the machines actually do the milking for them. Now, do you remember how much milk they got from each cow?
I think it was like maybe 10 gallons or something.
Yeah, pretty close, 10 gallons in a day. It was 4 gallons in the morning, and then 4 gallons in the afternoon or evening somewhere, and they milked the cows twice a day.
So it was like 8 gallons.
It was 8 gallons, yeah. So that was good, the milking demonstration. Even though it was done from a commercial perspective, and so they were talking about pasteurization of the milk and things like that, and how you can't drink raw milk. When we first got there, we went up to this shack, and we actually had to prepay, I guess. They had, instead of You Pick peaches, they had You Pick corn. Had you ever been in a cornfield before?
No, that was my first time. It was really fun.
Did you imagine the corn was going to be so tall?
No, I thought it'd be like up to your waist.
To the waist? Yeah.
But not that tall.
Yeah. I remember when I was a kid, and I lived right next door to a couple of cornfields. My house was surrounded by cornfields. And I remember just playing hide and seek in cornfields once it got so tall. It was a lot of fun. So we picked some corn, and then we picked some apples. And the kind of apples that they had, do you remember what breed they were?
Yeah, blondies.
Blondie apples. The lady, when we got there, I thought it was really good that there was this young lady, and she was nice enough to give me permission to record her and upload her to YouTube. She actually gave the kids a demonstration and a little bit of instruction on how to properly pick apples from the tree in order so that you don't damage the trees.
What do you think we call them, blondies? Do they look like your hair? Are they blonde like your hair?
Yeah.
But these are really sweet. But guys, let me see. Hold up your hand for me. Can you twist it? When you go to pick apples, instead of pulling them, you have to twist it, because if you pulled on it, it's going to shake the whole tree, and those apples are going to come down on your head. So we have to be real careful. You can either hold on to the limb and kind of pull it real easy, or twist it, okay?
Now, what they did in order to show us around, this wasn't a place where we just went up to and then we got to go to all the different places that they had, the cornfield and the apple orchard and all that. We actually got onto some Kubotas, and they shuttled us around the area to each of the places. So there was a separate place for the corn, and then there was a separate place for the apples and anything else that you wanted to do. And anytime you wanted to go from one area to another, you got on the Kubota, and they would shuttle you around to that area. When we were done picking the apples, we got back on the Kubota, and as we were coming up, we actually met one of the workers at the farm, and he, apparently, we were on the Kubota with the owner of Jaemor Farms. So one of the workers actually came up and gave him a big carton of blackberries.
It was like a foot long.
It was real. It was like 18 by 18. It was this huge thing. And he actually let us try one, and the store, I think he knew what he was doing, because once we tried it, it was done, you know, because they were
so good.
So then when we were all done with everything that we wanted to do, we picked some corn, we picked some apples, and those were the two things that we wanted to do. We went to see the milking demonstration, as I said earlier, and then it was time to head up to the Jaemor Farms store. Of course, they had the produce area when you first walked into the store, and the store was wider left and right as opposed to deeper. And so when you first walked in, if you went off to the right, that was sort of the produce section, and you could pick all of the fresh produce. And of course, their produce was just fresh from their fields. So aside from growing it yourself, I don't see how anything could be fresher than that one. So if you, instead of going to the right and you went to the left, you got to my favorite section of the store, which was the goodies.
The donuts.
I love me some donuts, that's for sure. And if I could have just sampled all of the donuts, I would have been a happy dad. So they had some very nice, besides donuts, they had these fried pies. Are they called they might be called turnovers.
Yeah, they're turnovers. Chef John did that.
Oh, Chef John did something. See, culinary art school right there. Care of YouTube. And so they were turnovers, and they looked great. And I had one. I had the cherry one, and it was quite awesome. Now, where we stayed when we were up there was at a park, and I believe it was a state park. I believe the name of it was Don Carter State Park.
Don Carter State Park, that's it.
Yeah, and they had some cabins. They were really great cabins. They were 2-bedroom cabins, and so the kids stayed in 1 bedroom, and then mom and dad stayed on the other side of the cabin, and it was just this great, really relaxing scenery. Hey, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't. Check me out on Facebook and Pinterest. If you like this video, here's a couple more you'll like as well. Until then.